Ooh, I'm kind of blurry there. That was weird. Welcome back to the Pop Culture Corner, guys. Tonight, because it's Thanksgiving and everything's kind of jumbled up, I decided that we're going to do like the podcast live stream a little bit early this week. And we're joined by one of my favorite people. My favorite people is still waiting to be in one of her movies coming up after the pandemic ends. But before we get into all that, make sure to, do the usual stuff. Hit the like button, share the show across social media, and, beyond into the abyss. Also, subscribe if it's your first time here. Welcome. We always love new faces and new people to talk to. That's why I do this. I don't do it for the money at all. Do it for getting to know people like Dane, who is joining me tonight. So people that have like-minded love for pop culture. So also, you can hit our membership button below. This month, we're giving away, because we do have like a lot of streamers in our membership thing. So I bought this microphone a while back. I paid like $150 for it, and I never ended up using it. So I decided that this is this month's giveaway. So if you'd like to potentially take that home this month, definitely hit the join button. You do have to be a member of the second tier or above, simply because that's just the way it works out. But we're also giving away, in lieu of Spider-Man, I have this Superior Octopus Pop that we're also giving away this month. And that, it doesn't matter what tier you are or anything like that. Everyone's eligible. So all you have to do is become a member before the end of November. It rhymed. All right, let's get into this. I'm excited. So today we're going to talk about like diversity, representation in media, all the fun stuff that we at the Pop Culture Corner have been talking about lately, because I think it's an important thing. I think it's an important issue that doesn't get enough attention, and the attention it does get, it's typically from the other side, the people that drag it all through the mud and don't want it, and form these narratives that are just absolutely bonkers and absurd. So I bought the best two people I thought I could find along with me, and that is Mr. Dane. How we doing?
Good. How's it going, man?
That was a very simple answer. I like that.
Hey,
Good.
simple man. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it, Ty.
Of course. And then, of course, today we're going to be joined by Tucky Williams, my favorite female filmmaker. That's a mouthful, by the way. So, how's it been? I haven't seen you in a while. It's been. I don't remember when the last time you were on was, but it's been quite some time.
I don't know, but I sure had fun the last time I was on. I really didn't forget it. We talked about a lot of different stuff, not the usual.
Yeah. Did you finish that book I sent you? It was a book, right, that I sent you?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. Which one was it?
I forget. It was on your list.
I think I know
You definitely finished it.
I did. I just can't remember which one it was.
It was like number 1 on the list, so I'm pretty sure you were interested in it. That's why I bought it. So
yeah, I read. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
it was your birthday. It was around the time.
No, I really appreciate that. I just can't remember which one it was.
Was it your birthday though? Or
yes, it was my birthday.
So yeah, so it was around then. Was the last time.
Thank you. Didn't I thank you for it?
Yes, you did. Of course.
Yeah, I know. It was the one I was like really excited about.
Oh, there's my sister. She's calling. Of course, my sister always calls. Like, it's the worst timing. She has literally. It's like the cosmic worst timing.
Yeah, that's just how family is.
Speaking of that, Thanksgiving's coming up. I think it's the worst holiday of the season, but what do you guys do? Anything fun?
Oh, no, just staying home, watching movies.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Well, kind of. This is the first year that I don't have my mom, because she passed away 7 months ago, I think. So this is different for me. Like, it's the first like Halloween, obviously, like passed, but this is the first like holiday like where it's big on family, and it just like kind of feels a little bit emptier without her. So that's always tough.
I'm so
I don't
sorry.
know. Yeah, well, it happens, but it's about like how she lives on in me now, and me and my brothers and sisters and all that.
Yeah.
How did the fundraising go?
It went well. It didn't go as well as my dog's fundraiser, which is still blows my mind. I raised when my dog broke his leg, I raised $7,800 in 3 days. Okay.
Damn.
In 3 days. And in 6 months, I raised about 1,000 for my mother. So that just like goes to show you that people, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Any donation is good donation. Like, you know, the $1,000 actually did help her. And now we're, you know, trying to start a fundraiser, like a cancer fundraiser for breast cancer in women, not for like medical stuff, like, you know, like MRIs or anything. But a lot of people don't realize that there's so much more to pay for when you do have cancer. That, you know, like going to the pharmacy and getting bandages, depending on your situation, like all that stuff adds up then. And typically, you know, insurance doesn't cover that. So that's what we're focusing on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to think about it too. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that that you don't think about until you like know somebody, or you, or maybe unfortunately are in that situation where it's like these costs just add up on a daily basis, right?
Yes. Yeah. And everything helps. And it really did. So, but that just really kind of goes to, and again, like it just shows you like people love animals so much more than other people. I was getting donations by the 1,000. Like one guy donated 2,000. My upstairs like neighbors, they donated 2,000 between the two of them. Like it was crazy. Like I one day I started it, the next day I was like halfway to the goal. I was like, oh my God, Jesus. But you know, it's all great. It's all wonderful. We've been kind of transition for Dane, like because me and Tucky have talked before. For Dane and maybe anyone who's new to the channel or new to us, Tucky, can you explain what it is that you do, who you are, like what your passions are?
Yeah, well, I started out as an actress, and I was only getting certain parts and I didn't like it. I wanted different kinds of parts, so I decided to start making stuff myself. So I started making a TV series, and I was really surprised it ended up being really successful. It's called Girl Scene, and it went on for a while, and then it got on Amazon and did really well, and now it's a movie. And somewhere along the way, I made another series and movie, and it's all on Amazon. You can watch it now. It's been a big journey for me because it's all gay stuff, and the problem, the reason I came on here, the reason I met you is, well, okay, we were talking about incels before the show started, is that my movie came out, and it's a regular movie. It's about PG-13, and it got taken down because a bunch of incels were furious that it was not pornographic. So they complained to Amazon so much that the movie was taken down off Amazon because it wasn't a porno movie. It was not a porno movie. Not. Let me emphasize that for anybody who missed. Not a porno movie.
That's, you know. Go ahead, Dane.
Oh, I was going to say, it reminds me of like, it's not the exact same situation, but I'm just curious what kind of like obstacles you've dealt with as far as like, obviously getting things made, but then like rating. I don't know if any of the stuff you've made has been rated officially or anything, but like, I remember there was this documentary years ago called This Film Is Not Yet Rated. And it kind of blew my mind because it's like talking about the MPAA and how they would compare like one movie where it's like a straight couple, and you know, like the girl goes down on a guy, and that got approved for rated R, even though it just shows his head or her head going down. You don't see anything. But then the exact same thing with two women in another movie, they like rated it X. And like that, you know, I didn't know if that type of thing is anything you've had to deal with, but it really
every day of my life. Every day of my life. And not even just in movies, just in my life too. It's like people think that, I mean, people still think that, I think that they think if I'm a lesbian, that means I somehow still want to do stuff with guys. They think that means that you like want to have orgies and threesomes and stuff, and it's like it actually means the opposite. Okay, you heard I was interested in women. Somehow you heard that I was interested in men. No, when I say I'm interested in women, that means I'm not interested in men. People just hear what they want to hear. And then you're right about the rating thing, is people will see a picture of me kissing a woman and they assume it's pornographic. So the first time when I submitted the show to Amazon, it was a picture of me like on top of a girl about to kiss her. We were on a bed. We were both fully dressed. I had a suit on, okay? And they said it was obscene.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Do you think
we weren't even kissing, you know?
Right,
And
it
then
was like
stuff gets taken down. There was posted a trailer as I forget what you call it, but I posted a trailer on Twitter and they marked that as obscene content.
Really?
But there was like I seriously couldn't tell you what was obscene about it.
Did you just say Twitter?
Yeah.
There's Are you kidding me?
There's literal porn on
It's
Twitter.
been like they had to say this is adult content. Click here if you want to watch it. I put it in as native content.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a link to YouTube. I uploaded it, so it was like here's a Twitter video. You know, so people didn't have to follow a link to leave Twitter. They could just press the play button. It's a lot easier. And so I uploaded it. I looked and it said, "Oh, this is adult content." And I mean, I should show you the trailer. It's nothing is happening, and I mean that's heartbreaking. It's like a knife in my gut every single time it happens. I don't get used to it. It's horrible.
It just goes
and then
to
it's
show
happening in the real world too. It's just like, ugh. I can't get away from being sexualized or not wanting something.
And that's my goal. Like I remember when you reached out or your agent reached out or whoever it was, and it was like that was like the start. And you know, since then I've met Dane, and Dane's a real advocate for like normalizing these things. And that's why I thought this would be a good combination, right? But my goal like is to talk about it, like because the slant on these things is just absolutely insane to me, that you go through that like and obscene content and all that. And I think do you think it's like more that people are mad that it's not you just doing sexual things with other women? Because like if you're a lesbian woman, right, to men, to these like weird guys, they know that you're like she doesn't like, I could never get her. Now I'm just gonna punish her basically because she's not.
I
feel like it is a lot of like just weird stuff.
Well, watch movies. All the lesbian characters get murdered. I'm serious. Start counting the dead lesbians, because no, it'll freak you out. Anytime you see a lesbian character, I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for her to die. Well,
it's like there's
watching
that trope that it's called like unofficially, it's called kill your gays. I think something
gays,
like
a movie I watched last night. Two gay guys got killed. Like one in the beginning, one at the end. They spread it out.
So how do you think we could fix this? Like what are the steps that we could take as straight white males, right? Because like what can we do to understand you better? And
don't let it happen. So the best thing you can do is when you see it happening, speak up. Use your privilege. That's what it's there for, is to use it. So engage. Like if you see a man doing that, take him down. If you see a woman doing that, take her down. You know, go after these people. If someone's doing something on a website that you don't think is so chill, write to Amazon. Tell them you don't like it. I mean, use the power that I don't have, basically. Right. Do what I do for me what I can't do, because people won't listen.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
And I couldn't imagine what it's like, because like as a filmmaker, as an actress, right, you're already facing an uphill battle, right? Like it's one of those jobs that there are times when even the bigger actors don't work, and like that's already an uphill battle. I couldn't imagine adding more to that, adding more uncertainty and obstacle to that. So you know, I really feel for you, and I try my best to try to understand as much as I can.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And thank you for having me on and just talking about it. That's another thing people can do, is talk about it. Another thing is acknowledging that these incels exist and that their sole purpose is to, I don't know, Dane, what is their purpose?
I mean, it depends. Like, yeah, there are incels for sure. But then unfortunately, it's just like still kind of a remnant of, you know, there are people that aren't incels that still have these kinds of outdated modes of thought where like they you know, the misogynistic gender dynamics, right? Where they like Ty was just saying, where it's like, I can't possess her, so I need to punish her, kind of thing. You know, and it's not just incels. I don't think there are people, married guys that kind of see that, like any challenge to how they understand, like, you know, gender and sexuality is, you know, they're just resistant to it and they want to lash out against it, kind of thing. That's the way I take it. But
did you ever
So
think
true.
about maybe, because I don't know where you are, like in your next project, like if there is a next one that's in development right now, but did you ever like, would you ever consider doing like a film documentary or anything like addressing it directly, like trying to maybe get people to understand where you're coming from or how detrimental it is to be in that situation?
God, that would be such a bummer. I don't think anyone would want to watch it. And like the whole thing is being as political as possible and sort of getting it in, like it's entertainment, right? So it's entertaining. But the political message is, interwoven into that. So I don't know. It would be just such a bummer to like call this thing out and be
Right.
like, here, let's talk about this. But no, a documentary would be interesting. I had never thought of that.
Yeah.
God,
I
that'd
think
be
there could.
scary.
I think there'd be ways you could frame it. Yeah, I mean, whether documentary or like a fiction story, I think there'd be ways that you could frame it where it would make it more palatable, I guess, consumable as entertainment while still, learning the experience. Yeah, because I do think that's something that, I didn't even really fully think of it until you're sitting here explaining it to me. You know what I mean? And I think about this stuff a lot. So like, yeah, it's like you said, it just needs to be talked about. It needs to be demystified, the idea of what it means to be gay or lesbian or trans or non-binary or whatever. Like these, to a lot of the people, these ideas are still really vague and foreign, and and they're also, the same people are often very resistant to it. So yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know that there's one solution that's gonna solve it all, but I mean there's got to be a diversity of approaches that we can apply. I don't know.
I don't know. This is just something that really seems to go unacknowledged, is just this whole, and I think it's with feminine and lesbians especially. So you see someone who looks like me and it's like, why isn't she, making pornography? It's like, because I don't want to. It's again, you just can't get people. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I can't get these people to wrap their head around lesbian means not men are in it. And it also means it's not. I think people think that lesbians are supposed to be performing for men. Those lesbians, I think it was in Seattle, this lesbian couple was beaten up on a bus because they wouldn't kiss each other for these men.
What?
Yeah, that's what every day is like.
Do you think that there's still like because like I know that there at least in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, I mean, I like to think some things have improved, but maybe you can correct me, but like I feel like there was this element of, if a woman's a lesbian, she hates men, like not just that she doesn't want to have sex with them, but she hates them. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that still kind of applies to how some of these people view things? You know what I mean? I mean, you obviously don't hate men. You're sitting here talking to two of them. So like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think people think I hate men.
Okay.
But yeah, that does seem to have gone away. But maybe if I were more butch, my experience would be different. And I hate using the terms them because I don't think they're real. But I don't know how else to say it in this conversation. Maybe if I were more masculine presenting,
yeah,
maybe I would get a different kind of hate.
Yeah,
that's
and I think
so messed up.
I think people still look at like they really do, and this is like the worst thing I could ever think of, but they still think that like you can treat being gay like, oh, it's not something that you're born with, it's something that you chose, and that's absolutely false and incorrect. And they think they can like, they're like, oh, well, she just, she's just misguided, she just doesn't know what she wants, and that leads to very dangerous things as well, like the unwanted advances in very dangerous situations for women.
Your video feed is down.
I know.
Oh, okay.
The camera on, I was talking about this the other night. I have this new camera that uses USB-C, and I bought like a cheap adapter. So when it goes like this, I have to like wiggle it. So I just haven't done that yet.
All right.
So I'll figure
Let me
it
check and
out.
make sure.
Thank you. But
okay, but yeah,
I think, because I talked to my sister, and like my sister is a straight woman, but the amount of men that send her obscene pictures on a daily basis, it's I couldn't I couldn't imagine just being a woman in this age, let alone a gay woman. I mean, do you have you ever had like bad situations or situations that like that where people send you things that you didn't ask for, or like a dangerous moment where someone tried to take advantage of you? Because like I think not like I guess that's a very strong word, but like a uncomfortable situation
I
with
think
people.
women have nothing but uncomfortable situations at the hands of men.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate because until I was about 20, I only socialized around gay men. And what I didn't realize as a girl was that they were protecting me. They were extremely protective, and other men were afraid of them. So I was very, very safe. And then when I got out of college and got out of that bubble, that's when all this horrific stuff started happening. So in a way, it's really good that nothing happened to me when I was a girl, but it's still terrible. And I can't imagine having had all this, not having had that protection of gay men, and just having all that stuff start when you're 14 or 16. That would be terrible. But no, I mean, in terms of like harassment and battery, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
I imagine it was a shock anyway. Like, even, you know, though fortunately you were protected through college, which is often I would imagine the worst kind of time for those things to those opportunities, or not opportunities, those circumstances to happen. But I still imagine it was a shock, like once you got out of that bubble, and you know what I mean, and realize, oh, this is what men are about in a lot of cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's what the culture was about, because I didn't think, like, if somebody did something to me, I didn't think that meant there was anything wrong with me. I thought, I didn't think there was anything. I thought it meant the other person was bad. But when I would tell people about it, their question would be, well, like, what did you do? Or like, I mean, they would seriously do the thing of what were you wearing? And then someone tried to murder me in a parking lot, right?
What?
This was about 5 years ago. Someone tried to kill me in a parking lot, and thank God I was armed to the hilt, but on top of that, I been doing martial arts all my life, and thank God, right? Otherwise, something bad would have happened. But when I tell people the story, they go, "Where were you?" And I was like, "I was in a nice neighborhood." And they go, "There's just, what were you doing? What were you doing? What were you doing to deserve this?" They ask questions until they find the reason why I deserve this. And then finally, I say, "It was dark outside." They go, "Aha!" I say, "It was 8 p.m. And they go, "It was dark outside." Okay, so then they're like, "Okay, I'm safe. No one's gonna try to murder me. No one's gonna try to murder my daughter. She was in a parking lot when it was dark."
Jesus Christ.
That's just, oh my God.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like it's that I don't know. It's it's really bizarre to think about that, being how people would respond to that type of thing. I mean, it's just victim blaming, right? Like, and so there's like all kinds of, not just like, I don't know, it's like this homophobia mixed with misogyny kind of thing. You know, I don't. It's weird to me. I'm sorry.
I think of it as like I'm 2 steps back. So, women probably are like 5 steps back. But however many steps back as a woman, well, then I have to take some more steps back, be knocked down some more as not being straight. So, I mean, I guess it would be any combination just makes it worse. But being a woman is enough.
Yeah.
Most of my harassment daily, all my harassment daily life comes from being a woman. The online stuff is for the gay stuff, sure. But day to day, that's the woman stuff.
A big conversation that we've been having lately, at least myself and some others, are do you think that Hollywood has gotten to a place where they are more inclusive to gays, like people that are gay, females in general? Do you think they're doing a better job, or is it more just like, I got to hit a quota of how much?
Yeah, I would say it's more virtue signaling than anything else. I see these ads and stuff, and it just seems like gay people are placed. It's like, here's our diversity, we're good now. And it's like, it's kind of icky. It's like, just don't make it diverse. or go ahead and actually be cool. But it's kind of this ick factor right now. But no, nothing has changed at all. Nothing. I mean, it's horrible. Just the way I get treated, you know, even in emails, because my name is Tucky. So if someone thinks they're talking to a man, I'm treated completely differently. And then when they find out I'm a woman, it's just like it's like men are so cool talking to me. It's just so relaxed and laid back and like, hey, oh, thanks, man. Oh yeah, no problem. And then if they find out I'm a woman, it's like this, they just get really harsh.
Sudden shift. Ugh.
Oh, drastic shift. Yeah.
Oh Lord, I don't like, I really like, I always tell this to my sister too, is like, I apologize for every other man in the world, or all the bad ones, I suppose, that think and act like this, because I try to think of myself as not one. Like I don't do weird stuff, but I think it has a lot to do with how people are raised, or a lot to do with like their situation at home, and at least from what I've seen, like usually the bully was bullied, right? So that kind of situation. So I think there needs to be a lot more education or exposure to it.
Yeah, we're raising a society of idiots, and that's true. And we need to just expose more people to more things. And I mean, God, even if people took the jump from Facebook to Twitter, I think the IQ of the population would jump. And that's not saying a lot.
Yeah, it's not. Twitter's
really
not great.
It's true. I mean, if you took them off of Facebook and exposed them to people who thought about stuff, I mean, that would be huge. But I mean, even that, you know, people just are not being exposed to enough things, and it hurts the culture. It hurts the entire civilization.
Yeah, and I think, like, do you think the internet has somewhat made? Because I've also been thinking about this a lot lately. Do you think the internet is to blame for some things, like for some harassment, and because I feel like a lot of, for instance, these people, like who I wanted to show you, people like, and I know I don't even want to say his name to you, but he calls himself Doomcock. He hides behind a mask and a robe, and he gets on YouTube, and I mean, just the things that he says are so outlandish, and I feel like thinks that no one will ever find out who he was, so he just doesn't care what he says, and he hides behind it.
Well, he's appealing to the lowest common denominator in our society. And the thing is, it's like, if you just appeal to that group, you don't have to actually be good at what you do. You have a built-in audience. So it's like, if I wanted to be like super famous on Twitter, like all I would have to do is become a pick-me girl and be super conservative and say all the stuff that people want to hear, the conservative thing, and I would just have this massive following. You get that automatically. There are people who are angry. I'm saying people. There's such a thing as toxic femininity.
Yeah.
It's people are angry and they're looking for an outlet, and it's just so easy. It's just someone's going, hey, come over here. You can be angry about this stuff, you know, and it's okay to have a difference of opinion, but you need to be able to think about it. That's why we need people to learn more. It's like, it's okay to have a radically different, like my thing is I'm super pro-choice, right? Like that's like 100%, like no, like unequivocally pro-choice, no matter what, no exceptions, right? Okay. But I'm still gonna have a conversation with someone who's pro-life, right? I'm gonna listen to that person. And you know, like that's a thing I can do. I'm not just like hating on them. I mean, even though that's the opposite of everything I believe in, it's you know, I'm not like shutting people down. I'm not hating on them. And then these groups, they make violent threats against people they disagree with. What? Right? So yeah, it's back to what I said. Is people aren't engaging enough. They're just hearing one side of things. And again, it's like, here you have all this anger, pent up energy. Here's where to put it. Bring it to me. You know, I want to be famous. Bring me your attention. So this guy who I haven't seen, but I'm glad I haven't seen him. But there are a lot of people with that mentality who are looking to feel like I'm acknowledged, I'm seen, and I can watch a show and people represent me. And that's okay if you want to do that. That's okay. Like maybe you're into that, but you need to be exposed to other stuff too.
Yeah. Or yeah, I couldn't have said it better, honestly. And I think like with this pandemic and stuff, like for instance, did you know, like this is a fun little fact for you. Do you know how many incidents in airplanes have, like, okay, when I say incidents in airplanes, right? I'm talking about like a marshal had to arrest someone on the plane, like in cuffs, and they had to ground the plane. Do you know how many of those incidents happened in 2018 or 19?
It's a lot more now. It's like 10 times as much, right?
Yeah, you can count how many in 2018, 19 on my like feet and toes. I mean, my fingers and toes. Like it was like a handful. In 2021, in 6 months, there was 2,000.
Whoa.
Like people are literally losing their minds, and that, and everyone is a like, everyone wants to film everything, and everyone wants to be that person, and everyone wants to, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. Everyone wants their time in the sun, or to be that person. And I mean, it's scary. I mean, society scares me right now. And I know a lot of generations have said that, but
yeah, it should. Well, I think the collective IQ has dropped. I think the average American has below average intelligence. I think the average IQ in America is about 97. Yeah.
And everybody's just so emotionally reactive too. Like, just as far as like the you're talking about, Ty, the airplane incidents, there's been several that I've seen just off the top of my head that I can think of that were like in, since the pandemic, there's like baseball games and football where like some dude goes nuts and, runs out on it's like,
yeah,
it's like we forgot how to be a society. Not that we were ever great at it in the first place, but like the pandemic really, just kind of, and I went through a fucking severe depression during the height of the pandemic and stuff like that. So, I mean, I get it. Like it has a toll. It takes a toll, but I don't know, man. It's really weird. I had an incident probably about 5 or 6 months ago. I was going through my bank drive-through just to the ATM. And so I withdrew some cash, but then I needed to, it's a weird situation with one of my cards wasn't working properly, but I had to withdraw some cash. And then you drive forward a few feet and there's the, the deposit tube thing, like the pneumatic tube. I had to put some cash in there and send it. And I guess this lady that pulled up behind me trying to get to the ATM didn't realize that. So like the tail end of my car was in front of the ATM where she was trying to get, and she like started honking her horn and shit. And I'm just like, look back at her like, what the hell? And she like got out of her car and started screaming like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, lady, Jesus Christ, give me a second. And I was just like, holy shit, man. People are, I don't know. Everybody is.
You should have gotten your phone out and taped it.
Yeah. You should have called her. You should have called her a Karen on Twitter and taped it. A wild Karen in the, appeared.
Like I could have been a TikTok star for a day.
Yeah.
Speaking of TikTok, Tucky.
Yeah.
Do you do TikTok?
I look at it. I don't make the videos though.
You should totally be a TikToker. I think that could be a fun platform for you.
It's like so much energy. It's like it's hard enough to even watch it. I can't imagine energy in just such a short little video.
Yeah.
I
mean, like I write stuff like that's, but like my actual life maybe isn't quite so interesting.
Right. Like people, actors, like, I mean, I know Jack Black's gotten pretty big on TikTok, even though it's Jack Black. He doesn't really need to get any bigger, but like there's a lot of people that have really benefited from that platform.
Well, what should I do?
I don't know. I was going to ask you what you'd like to do.
I think I don't do anything.
All I know is that if you do it, you should, your name on there should be like Tucky or something like that, just kind of play with that.
Yep.
My suggestion.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Credit Dane.
Nah, I don't need it.
But
this whole, I don't know, like I feel like society's at a boiling point here, and we need to wake up a little bit. and I don't know what it's going to take for that to happen, but I hope it goes the right way, because it's 2021. It shocks me that there's still people out there that think like this and act like this and talk like this. It blows me away.
Yeah, totally.
Do
Yeah,
you
stuff really hasn't changed in the 10 years that I've been doing this. Nothing's changed. So I feel like it's even gotten worse, because when I started, people just didn't know what to make of me or what I was doing. But now it's more common, it's more out there, and now they're just like, now it's just straight into the hate.
Right.
Mhm.
And so are you working on anything? Like, are you still writing? Because the pandemic's affected us all, I think, in some form or fashion. What's your next, like, what's your next move?
Yeah, I'm not producing content at the moment, because I want to wait until everything's really safe.
Right.
People say, oh, well, they're making movies. But like, as an independent filmmaker, I don't have the budget to hire a COVID consultant.
And
I don't
testing
even think I would
and
have the
all of
budget
it.
for daily testing, right?
Right.
So it would just be, and I mean, if I were doing that, like, I can't imagine doing testing on top of like directing and producing. Like, that would be horrible. So I want everything to calm down. But in the meantime, I'm doing more like behind the scenes stuff, trying to get new things going, new platforms, stuff like that.
Awesome. And I mean, are you going to continue? Do you think you'll continue with working with Amazon? I think Amazon's a great like, as far as, and I'm not talking about like behind the scenes. I don't know a lot about Amazon as a studio or anything like that,
Yeah.
but their content library is growing, and they've got some shows that have really taken society by storm, like The Boys. I don't know if do you watch The Boys?
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
it's really good. I know it's like, it's called The Boys, and I promise it's not just about the boys, but it's a really great show, and they just acquired MGM, which is like James Bond and all that stuff. So Amazon, and that they got the Lord of the Rings series coming.
The Expanse.
The Expanse, yeah.
Love that show.
So, and then there's this new show that's on right now called The Wheel of Time. And actually, when I was watching the trailer for it, it reminded me of your style.
No, I thought when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, they're ripping off my show.
Right.
And so I got online right away and I looked it up, and it turns out the book was written way long ago. But I was like, this is my show. Oh my God. It was the same thing. She even looks like me, right?
Yeah, it kind of, that's like, it, not gonna lie, when I had this thoughts, I'm like watching the trailer, and I'm, because it's #1 on Amazon right now, like people are talking about it, and when I'm watching the trailer for it, I'm like, that looks kind of like,
it looks like my thing, exactly. Yeah,
and that's kind of why I reached back out to you. I was like, speaking of Tucky, I'm gonna reach out to her. But yeah, it was weird. It was wild, actually. I was like, oh, that looked familiar. But it's doing pretty well. I haven't checked it out yet, but I definitely will. But I think Amazon's great. So I mean, do you see yourself working with them?
Oh yeah, they're open to working with me. Sure, of course. I'm always gonna be open to working with Amazon.
How do they? Because I know that you had the rating issue, right? Like the incels and all that. But outside of that, like, have they been supportive of your work, and how are they as a studio?
Jeff was originally, and then Jeff was. I'm just gonna stop talking there.
Yeah, she probably doesn't want to get too into that. What's the process like for?
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
What's the process like for like getting on their radar to getting a show, even looked at to be produced? Can you run through that? Or
well, it changes all the time. So I don't know what you would have to do right now. I mean, you can always go through a distributor, and the distributor would try to get it everywhere. That's probably the best bet. I mean, I don't know. I'm like the wrong person to ask about how to get it on these days, because I started with Amazon at the end of 2017 or beginning of 2017, the beginning or the end of 2017.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right.
So
like these, I think these like streaming services are the next thing. Like they're already the thing. Like Netflix, right? Amazon. Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max. Like for instance, do either of you have cable still?
I do.
Oh, okay. God.
But I also have every streaming service.
Right. So, like, my dad's not relating you to my dad at all, but my dad will never get rid of cable. And I really do think, like, when their generation ends,
Yeah.
that'll be it for cable. Cable will
Oh,
be
sure.
no,
Mhm.
same thing with like newspapers, I think. Everything will kind of
Mhm.
slowly shift and change. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't.
Like with most things, I guess it's a little bit of both. Like earlier, you asked about the internet. As far as like, is that the problem? And it's like, not really, because the internet, the internet is only what people make of it, right? So like, their problems in society and culture are going to come through online. Like a lot of these attitudes existed outside of the internet, so they're going to come through online. And it's just like, unfortunately, like the content I talk about on my channel and push back against the narratives of, it's like that stuff is rewarded in the algorithm because it's the most sensational and outrageous. And like Tucky was saying, like it gets, feeds people getting mad, right? Like if you're already inclined to be angry about this, then giving somebody content about that is going to be successful. It's a lot more effort to get people engaged with something thoughtfully. And so it's just a bit of both, I think, right? Like, I don't know.
I agree. I think it's like it does this. I think it says more about us as a society that these things, like you said, we've talked about this before. It says more about us as a society that we encourage it or allow it to happen, more so than the person that exploits it, right? So, like you have these people that have like the hate channels and promote these weird things, but are they the bad guy? Yes, but are we also to blame for allowing it to happen and circulate? I think the
Well, a
answer is,
lot of the Fox News guys are just pretending to be MAGA.
you
They're
think
not
so?
at all. Oh, yeah, like Greg Gutfeld, he's not MAGA, but no, I mean, that's like a known secret. Is he's not into that, but if you see him on his show or on the Five, he's just totally peddling that stuff. And yeah, a lot of those guys don't believe it.
So that poses an interesting question because do you think that some of the people just adapt these ideas because they think it will get them or generate them the most views, money, etc., etc.?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, Greg Gutfeld, he had Red Eye and the Five, and Red Eye was on at 3 a.m., I think. And that was before the MAGA cult emerged. And I'm not bashing on the right at all. I want to say that. But I want to say I'm not bashing on conservatives at all. Conservatism is great. I'm only bashing on the MAGA cult. Okay. So, the before the MAGA cult existed, Greg Gutfeld had the 3 a.m. show and the Five, and then now there's a MAGA cult, and he played into it, and he has like the #1 late night talk show now.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's like Tucker Carlson used to be on MSNBC once upon a time, like, and his views have gotten, incrementally, well, more explosively lately, but like just inflammatory. You know what I mean? Like it's all about it's the same thing as fucking Doomcock or whatever. Like, once they realize, oh, this gets more views if they lean harder into it. It's basically just like this cynical hyper capitalism almost, where they don't really care about the ethics of what they're doing. It's just like success is the goal. The higher the numbers, the more successful I am, the more valuable of a human being I am. I don't know. I don't really understand the logic behind it, but yeah.
Yeah, and Tucker, if you go back to those old radio interviews that always pop up for people, he actually talks about how like the fun it is to mislead the proletariat. And he's saying all these things that, like this game of misleading the idiot middle class.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit, just random aside, but like of L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who founded
Scientology, yeah.
Like
that's my favorite subject. We can talk about Scientology all day. I know everything there is to know about Scientology. I am one of those chicks who is so into that stuff.
Into it as in like you're knowledgeable about it, right? You're not involved.
You're not like into it,
right? You're not.
No. If you're into it,
sign up with Tom Cruise, right?
You don't talk about it if you're in it.
Okay.
No. But I mean, I could just talk about Scientology nonstop. That's like my subject. I had to stop and mention that because I'm obsessed with Scientology and like.
Well, you know how he was like quoted before he founded Scientology as saying like, if I really wanted to be rich, I'd start a religion or whatever. Like, and it's like it's there. It's on the record that he said that, and then yet he still is able to go do it. And yeah, it's.
Did you ever hear Joe Rogan's bit about the difference between a religion and a cult?
Is that the one where he says like the religion or a cult? There's a guy at the top who knows it's all bullshit, and a religion that guy is long dead. Yep.
And he's so right, guy. Like he's right. He's really spot on with that.
In that regard, pretty specifically, he's right. Yeah, but he's wrong about a lot of stuff, I think.
Oh, come on, leave my buddy Joe alone. I listen to Joe. He's from Boston, and I don't agree with him a lot, but I listen to him.
But that's the difference is you're able to listen to him and take what you like and leave the rest.
Yes, I mean we're talking about the same guy who had Alex Jones on like 4 or 5 times. So
right.
I don't agree with him all the time. I just want to make that clear.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, but I'm saying you can discern what's right and what's wrong, and most people can't who watch him. I mean, to think that most people can make decisions. I know the people who are watching him are taking everything he says word for word seriously, and they don't question any of it. And that's why it's dangerous. So he's able to step back and go. If it gets controversial, he goes, "Oh, don't listen to me. Why would anyone listen to me? I'm nobody." But
he says it all the time.
Yeah.
He says that. You are right. He says that all the time. He's like, "Don't listen to me. I'm a moron. I'm an idiot."
But
that's
the problem is
like,
he
if you're
says
irrelevant
it after the fact, right? Like after millions of people have already heard him and take it to heart, and they're not going to typically listen to him the follow up and go, "Oh, okay, you were wrong. You're dumb. You're right." Like they just run with it. They're not going to adapt to his correction after the fact. So that's the danger in it, I believe.
And that again leads back to my point, which I'm writing an article about it right now too. Is like it's the platform thing. When we give a platform to everybody, we also give it to the wrong people. So it's you can't. That's why I don't know. It's an interesting topic about censorship and deplatforming people. But it's dangerous. That's also dangerous. It's like taking away people's platform. It's a really it's a weird predicament situation. And we even see right now, Facebook's in trouble. And now they're just trying to change the name of it and become a different company. But in reality, I believe that they're trying to basically get around the issues and what they did wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And what they're still doing wrong, I imagine, they're, unless there's some type of unless they're reprimanded basically by Congress or anyone with their hand on the lever of power is in terms of and you mentioned censorship a minute ago. I think it's one thing is important that people should keep in mind is that getting suspended or kicked off of YouTube or Twitter or something, that's not censorship. It's you lost your platform, but no one is entitled to a platform on any specific thing. Censorship, and I say this because I get lots of people in my comments who will get in my videos that get real hateful, and then I'll kick them from the channel where they can't comment, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, you're censoring people." I'm like, no, I'm not. You don't have a right to be in the comments of my comment section of my videos saying hateful shit. I'm not the government, so I can't censor you. You know what I mean? There are terms of service
right,
with these platforms.
They are private companies. But do you think that these platforms are starting to blur the lines between free speech and privatized company? Because like we saw it during the pandemic. Like, how did we communicate with other people through these platforms? So like it's a really sticky situation if you start.
Well, but I mean,
breaking
it's
it
like
down.
it's the same thing as like you can't. It's yeah, you're allowed to you have free speech, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you're free from consequences for your free speech. Like if I go, the old adage of you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? Like because if you go in there and you start yelling fire and then everybody tramples over each other and a bunch of people get hurt, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're free from consequences from doing that. If it's shown that you knew that you could cause harmful consequences, right? Like it's not a free pass to just get away with saying and doing anything anytime you want to, in my opinion. I think there needs to be, not necessarily like legal consequences for all of this stuff, but there should, we do need to get to a point where there's more social consequences. And that's where like the cancel culture thing comes in, because that's often what it is just these are social consequences for you saying shitty things and being hateful or whatever. And people are calling you out for it. And then of course they weaponize that and I'm being canceled now. And that's how I see that.
I feel like anybody who's getting canceled is actually getting more attention. It's like I got canceled. They took me down because they didn't like homosexuality. That's actually being canceled.
Right. Not Gina Carano, who is now the conservative queen.
Yeah, that was a great career move for her.
Right.
And she's got a legion of followers that'll probably follow her career forever now. Whereas if it hadn't have happened, they might not have. You know what I mean? So
no one would have thought twice about Gina Carano. Besides, she was in the Star Wars show, pretty popular show. But now she's on this. Like I go on Instagram, I see like Geeks and Gamers fan pages that are like they decorate her in like a gown and a tiara, and they're like our queen. I'm like, oh my god, this lady. Like okay, sure, but yeah, whatever. I wanna I would like to hear more about your thoughts on Scientology. I can't get it out of my head now.
I just
all I keep thinking of is Leah. What's her name? Leah
Remini,
the King of Queens lady, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch that documentary?
Yeah, she has a TV series. I watched all 3 seasons, and I listen to her podcast every week.
So she is one of the few that got out.
Yeah.
One of the few that got out and lived to tell the tale. So, like for anyone who doesn't know, like, okay, guys, what is Scientology?
It's the way to freedom. It's how to save mankind from itself. What isn't it? So, L. Ron Hubbard experimented with Satanism, and he came up with this religion that was based on kind of a science fiction soap opera kind of thing. It's all based on like science fiction-y stuff. Dane, feel free to jump in at any time.
You're like, please.
So anyway, its main purpose is to build wealth. And I think there are a lot of people who start out in it for good reasons, because they really do want to make the world a better place. But it's actually really cult-like. And there are other religions that are like that too. It's been compared to Jehovah's Witness and Mormonism. And
kind of sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Too. But in terms of it taking over your entire life, and it's like, I don't know, Mormons do good things. They reach out and help the community, but Scientology helps nobody. They're only interested in accumulating wealth.
Right. Who's the guy at the top of it right now?
Whoa.
David Miscavige, who by the way, where's Shelley, David? Where's Shelley?
Yeah, where's Shelley? Nobody knows.
Shelley his wife?
Shelley, his wife.
Yeah, she's just been gone
they
for
just
years now.
her because she started asking questions.
Oh
Nobody knows where she is. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where Brooklyn Nine-Nine based that off of. Okay, that makes more sense.
Right.
So,
and Leah Remini spent thousands of dollars on lawyers trying to find out what happened to her. And the only thing the LAPD would say is, we've taken care of it. You can't ask any questions. We're done.
Do you think
basically what they think happens is LAPD shows up and they trot her out. She's under tremendous pressure. They say are you okay? She says, yeah, I'm fine. And then but they have no idea what they're doing to that woman. They don't know there's this place called The Hole in California. It's where they take their leaders, and it's like a double wide trailer, and they put like maybe about 20 people in there, like no shower, no bathroom, and there are
In the dark?
cockroaches.
Yeah.
In the dark, yeah. They sleep on the floor. They're fed scraps. Like they just dump food scraps in there, and they just kind of have to pick out what they eat, and that's where they have put them.
And these are the leaders?
Yeah, David put them in there. These are the leaders, and so this is what they're doing to their top people. So and everybody says, well, why don't you just leave? They're stuck. They can't get out.
Well, yeah, because of what happens, like, and this is what I was going to say, is like the most telling thing of what I would consider a cult, the easiest, surest way to, or at least to decide to figure out how harmful a cult or group is what happens when you try to leave. And Mormonism fits this, Scientology fits this, Comicsgate fits this, where like, if you're like, okay, I'm done with this, I'm out of here. And then especially if you speak out about it afterward, like Scientology has fair game, where
Right.
they'll just fucking go after you, mercilessly. They'll go after your family. They'll try to smear you, or they will smear you. They'll try to make sure that anybody you were connected to, that they have any power over, will not speak to you anymore. And I think that's a really sure sign of how harmful these groups can be.
And you have to disconnect from your family. I think that's a good gauge of whether something is dangerous or not. Is, if you leave Catholicism, they aren't happy about it, but you can still talk to your Catholic family members.
Right.
But in these other places, it's total disconnection. Like, you're dead.
This is like, and I'm surprised that like the federal government hasn't looked into this more. Like
that's because Scientology has a lot of money,
and they have religious exemption now.
So they are actually classified as a religion in the eyes of the federal government.
Well, what happened is there were a lot of IRS agents who just kind of wanted to be accountants, and they started getting harassed, and they were worried about their lives and their families. And so they just had to say, okay, yeah, we're a religion. I didn't ask for this. I just like adding up numbers and wanted to do taxes and, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden they're being harassed they're being followed and tailed and threatened and lawsuits filed against them. So yeah, they said you can be a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've gained and lost religious exempt status, I think, a couple of times in the like 50 years or so, I believe, from what I've listened to a couple of podcasts, but it's been a while. Yeah, so it was kind of an ongoing thing even when L. Ron Hubbard was alive, of just like, I mean, that was kind of his main thing is escaping taxes. That's why he ended up having a boat and living on a boat for the most of his life. And yeah.
Oh my God. And that's why they dress up like Navy crew.
He was in the Navy briefly.
Right. And I find it really crazy that Tom Cruise is in on this. Like, he's in on it. He loves it.
Well, he's number 3 in the religion. So there's L. Ron, who they really don't consider dead. They have houses waiting for him all over the world.
Oh, great.
When he comes back, and they clean the houses, and every night they lay out like his pajamas and what he likes before bed.
Imagine getting that job.
No, well, you're not. That's not a job. You're basically working for free if you're in the Sea Org, like $5 a week or something.
Yeah, it's basically slave labor if you're.
Yeah. So, but it's these houses all over the world that he can move into. So he's number 1. And then number 2 is David Miscavige. And then number 3 is Tom Cruise. And they're all supposed to meet at this place called Target 2 when they all exit their bodies. They're supposed to meet at this place called Target 2, which I think is on one of the rings of Jupiter.
Oh,
and then they're going to meet up and, I don't know, formulate the next plan.
I thought it was just the retail store. That would make as much sense.
Target.
Yeah. Target number 2, guys. That's where we're going.
Tucky, have you seen the there was an old episode of South Park where they talked about where they made fun of Scientology?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Do you know the section where it's like this is what Scientologists actually believe? Do you know how accurate that is? Like as far as like Xenu and you know the DC-8 spaceships, and that's all pretty accurate. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, it gets worse than that. I mean, that's kind of like the mild stuff. There's actually sinister policy in there. Like, I don't even want to bring it up, some of the stuff, but it's really dark, sinister stuff. Like I said, I mean, he was really dabbling in Satanism,
Right.
which is weird. Like, why bother? Like, I can't imagine having enough time on my hands to dabble in Satanism.
Yeah, it was like him and some other science fiction writers, I believe, that like before the Scientology, that he was is basically just like here's a fun gathering thing that we do kind of thing. But it was like I feel like the whole time he was looking for whatever he could use to leverage for power and wealth, essentially. Like whether it would have been Satanism or whatever, if it would have seemed like the best option to him, he would have seized that and used it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
When did L. Ron die? It couldn't have been that long ago, right?
I want to say 89. It was in the 80s, late 80s.
So, okay, so Tom
86.
Cruise. Okay, 86. So Tom Cruise is a part of it. He's a big part of it. What do you think he got there to do you think he's in his spot because he's like super famous? Do you think they like that's their like prize possession?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
look
totally. Well, they used to have a whole gallery of celebrities.
I was gonna
And
say
he's,
people
like,
used to
the
say that Will Smith was a Scientologist.
Yeah, he looked into it a little bit. I mean, I know
Don't
I know,
play with the heartstrings
people
like
went to
that.
some Scientology parties and Will Smith was there, and he gave a lot of money to Scientology school, which is not really a thing. It's just Scientology. Like Scientology education isn't that great. So he gave a lot of money to a Scientology school, and he was hanging out there. And
He's my idol. And
what?
Will Smith is like one of my idols. I just don't want to believe it, because then I would have to like not have him in my life.
Well, he didn't do it.
That's a sound reminder.
And I've heard nothing but lovely stories about him.
Yeah.
Well, one of the
So he's still your idol.
one of the things that they do, from what I understand, is very similar to, by the way, that NXIVM cult that that recently. I'm sure you've heard of that, right? Like, yeah, there are these. I imagine there's more than that we just haven't heard of. Like in Hollywood, there's just these groups that basically promise young actors and performers, like, we'll help you accomplish your goals. Just you got to basically be part of our group and follow these. And it's like, it starts out innocuous enough, like, oh, these people are just trying to help me as a young actor get started. And when you're in that situation, as I'm sure you understand, as from experience, as a person trying to just get your foot in the door, it's almost like you're willing to accept any help that's offered to you in some cases. And if you're naive enough to go, oh, these people seem to have connections, and look, this other famous person is part of this group, and so on. I'm sure it can be really tempting. And before you know it, you're in a cult.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's her name? Branding people. Like, what was it? Allison Mack that went to prison for that. Yeah.
God. Like, and it blows my mind that people get into this kind of stuff. I guess it's easy from my side looking at it. It's like, I would generally see the signs and be like, the writing on the wall is like, wait, I think I'm at the wrong place. This isn't day camp. I gotta go. But people are like, it shows a lot about us as humans. Like, we are susceptible, we are vulnerable, and we crave something like we want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And some people will give everything for that. And that's part of.
Also, with a cult, when you start out, they do this thing called a love bomb, and I mean they do it with any movement. Even all the political movements too. Is when you first join, they just throw all this love at you. Like, we're so glad you're one of us. They applaud you. It's love, 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 and pretty soon that fades away. So then people are trying to get it back, and that's why they stay in the cult, is they want to feel that love again. They think, oh, I can get back to that if I can just get back to that somehow, but it's never going to happen.
Right.
And the reason that works so well, by the way, is that like because they prey on vulnerable people. Like whether it's, you know, like I said a second ago, like you're a new performer and you're trying to get, you know, your foot in the door in Hollywood or whatever, and so you're vulnerable in that sense. Or like, you know, whether it's a cult outside of Hollywood, and it's often people who are like lonely and confused about life and what to do with, you know what I mean, what they believe. And that's what cults do. They prey on vulnerable people that are, like you said, Tyler, just looking for, you know, whether it's a way to belong or just like some kind of sense of meaning or purpose. And that's what's really unfortunate about it, and that's what makes it pretty sinister, in my opinion. Just the cult, the way cults go after people. So
yeah. And I feel like people like, so the MAGA, like you called it MAGA cult, right? Like that was different for us looking at someone who was president and the way he controlled people, the way he commanded like his audience was unlike it looked exactly like a cult would look. Like they took his word as gospel. And I think the world, at least the world, like us looking in, right? Same thing. Like, oh, I would see the writing on the wall of a cult. Like me looking in was like, how can you not see what I see? Right? Like this guy is a maniac. He is so hopped up on methamphetamines and whatever else they're shoving down his throat to get him like that. And just saying the most nonsensical things I've ever heard out of any person. Do you think he'll run again? Do you think he'll run in 2024?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I would put money on him winning.
Unless someone can effectively convince him that, you know, because I saw something in the news the other day, and obviously none of this matters, you know, and it's the only thing that matters is whenever the election actually happens. But like some report that there were people in his inner circle trying to convince him he shouldn't run because if he did, he would lose terribly. And basically that's the only thing that he cares about is, you know, obviously he still hasn't even admitted he lost the last election. So like he doesn't want to be a loser. That's his main thing, is he doesn't want to look like a loser. And if somebody can effectively convince him basically that like, you're probably going to lose if you run again, he might not then, but otherwise he's probably going to run, and it is a very real threat that he could win again.
I'm hanging all my hope on everything you just said then.
Yes.
Because that's the only way.
Because I mean, it's really fucking scary that 70 million people voted for this guy again, you know?
They feel acknowledged for the first time though.
Right. And that's the thing. And I think Trump, honestly, I think it's hard to like put into words, but I think you're right, Dane. I think he just wants people to love him, and he doesn't want to look bad or like have people hate him, except like a lot of people do. And he's like a kid. He's like a little child craving for attention. And you can see it in his actions and his words, everything. He's a dangerous person though.
Yeah, it's like sorry.
An idea. I've said this a lot. I still think the single most dangerous thing in the world is an idea. And that's what people got behind with him, is that idea of making America great again and all that literal cult stuff that he did.
Yeah,
so
totally.
He's it's like and this carries over to a lot of the same people that follow him and support him and defend him still, is like they read to me like a toddler who, you know, like most toddlers will go through this phase where it's like, oh, they realize that if they do something bad, they'll get mom's attention just as much as doing something good. So it's like they don't care what kind of attention it is, they just want the attention. That's what it strikes me as sometimes. You know, they don't care if you're mad at them or you're upset or pissed off or whatever. The fact that they got a reaction out of you and you're paying attention, that validates them somehow. That speaks to the whole, you know, trigger the libs thing. Anyway,
Yeah, from what I understand of narcissistic personality disorder, which isn't narcissism, everybody's like, oh, he's a narcissist, she's a narcissist, narcissist, narcissist. But I'm talking about the DSM-4 definition of narcissistic personality disorder. Their ultimate goal, because I always, I've run into them in life. What's their end game? It's to prove they're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that end-ish, but can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor and watch 5 minutes of a clip that I think we'll all laugh at together?
Of course.
It's really funny though. It's this. So just to preface it a little bit, I showed you kind of what he looked like, but it's this guy who is kind of like the person that we've been talking about this whole time. And he like has made a career on YouTube of just being very dangerous and like informing narratives. And it doesn't, like I said, when you watch the video, you'll be like, okay, this is a literal joke, right? Because that's what I thought when I first saw it. But like, I'll show you how many, for instance, the video I'm going to show you has 214,000 views on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it gets dangerous is like it's not just going to 22 people, it's going to a lot of people. And I think that his views are dangerous. He's kind of against like, I don't know, Dana, how would you put it? Because he doesn't want, like, how like the new Star Wars movie had a female lead, for instance. He didn't like that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like when like females are prevalent in film. And we have a lot of fun like making fun of him. So I figured it could be fun to watch one of his little bits with you.
Okay.
All right. Let me get this off and change it. Okay. Let me know if you can hear it.
My friends, every single day,
Can you hear
someone
it?
comes to me
Yeah.
and tells me that they have been unsubscribed from my channel without their knowledge. Please make certain that you are still subscribed, and if you have not subscribed, please do so in our ongoing fight to stop corporations from destroying our myths. We need your help. Thank you.
Woo!
My friends, Hollywood is a woke wasteland. With reboot after reboot, remake after remake, Hollywood has been attempting to rewrite our culture and rewire all of us into conformity with the woke agenda. Every project is mathematically calculated to have a distribution of diversity and a ratio of representation, regardless of whether or not it makes any sense to the story. This is why you'll get a story about, say, Robin Hood, featuring Robin being a woman of color, or a gay King Arthur. Things that make absolutely no sense given the times and the context of the story. This kind of thing, demolishing our culture one myth at a time, has a twofold purpose: to insidiously undermine traditional Western narratives to weaken our culture and render us susceptible to new woke narratives, and to use propaganda as part of a social engineering operation to rewrite all of us. SJWs care nothing for art. They lack the intellect, the passion, the soul to care about art for art's sake. They view our cultural heritage as something to be defaced, a wall to spray graffiti slogans on in their pursuit of their own political agenda. It is this that Doomcock fights against. I view modern myths like Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who as central pillars of Western civilization.
So I forgot to tell you this. So, by the way, he is from the future and he's from the center of the earth.
Okay.
Dane, what is his slogan? What is it?
Oh, I don't know what. Oh, his
so
slogan?
his name is Dictor von
Doomcock. Yeah,
and he's
he's from the future. He lives in the center of the earth in his hidden base in the center of the earth. And he's just basically he's enlightening us all with how, obviously woke Hollywood in its agenda is destroying our myths. Just like the most, he's got this whole lore about it that, like, honestly, it would be kind of impressive that he commits to it if it wasn't such like borderline Nazi shit.
Yeah, and we could go even further to say that he actually might be a Nazi, because there's some other evidence out there, but we won't get into that part today because it's a little much to take on in one sitting.
But yeah, anytime somebody's like ranting about the fall of Western civilization, you should like kind of give them the side eye, because that's not a good sign that they're
sane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it's a far right talking point, to create this narrative that that the left or liberals or whoever is trying to destroy our Western civilization, which implies that Western civilization is inherently better than other civilizations. Yeah.
So we won't watch too much of it, probably like another minute, but just remember, Tucky, that there are people that dress up like this on YouTube. He is like, and that, because a lot of our conversation today is about people him. It boils down, like, I think, and I've been saying it for a while, that he is he is a cult leader. That's what he's trying to gain, or trying to be.
I would say that guys like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers and Ethan Van Sciver from the Comics Gate guy, I think they're more like, I feel like this guy is more of a cartoonish example. He's definitely not he's definitely potentially dangerous with the stuff he talks about, but I think the guys like Geeks and Gamers just looking like normal dudes are more sinister.
Yeah,
and
you think so?
Yeah, because they're definitely more, they can be less obvious about how hateful and just out there that they are. Like they're a little bit more clever in how they weave in their misogyny and such into the things they talk about.
That makes sense. All right, so like I said, when I'm not watching all 10 minutes of this, I had enough of it already, honestly.
I respect art for art's sake, and I stand watch at fandom's gate, keeping these cultural vandals from destroying our stories with all the means at my disposal. Hollywood is indeed a woke wasteland, and yet now, out of that woke wasteland, a new hope has suddenly appeared. My friends, what I'm about to tell you is something that sounds too good to be true. At first, I heard this about 2 weeks ago and said nothing. I didn't believe it, because when something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. But I have heard the following information once again from a high-level source, and the persistence of this information leads me to believe there may be something to this story, and so I'm presenting it to you now. Please note, however, that I cannot independently verify what I'm about to tell you, so please do consider this as unconfirmed rumor and take it with several dashes of salt.
I feel like those gloves that he's wearing are
from reliable in the past.
They're from the
shit
convenience
is
store.
about to hit the fan at Disney. I am being told that getting the SJWs out of Disney is now priority one, mandated by the sudden realization that sometimes cliches are cliches for a reason, and a new understanding at the highest level that get woke, go broke is no longer just a slogan. Yes, you heard me right. As incredible as it sounds, my source boldly claims.
Okay, all right, that's enough of that.
Oh God, it's so stupid.
Who's the anonymous guy?
It's not. There's no person. There's no insider source. That was proven that time that Kat Walski planted an anonymous source.
Oh yeah, that's right.
4chan and like was baiting Doomcock to cover his anonymous source, and it was just made up nonsense. But the dude ran with it anyway. He made a video like it was the most serious thing in the world, and it's.
But
there's
yeah,
no source.
So those are the people we're trying to combat, and those are the people like Dane and I have opposite views of, and we're like, we try to speak out against it, and I don't know, like it's almost like people want to hear that, people want to watch that more than someone like us, and that's what blows my mind, is how big that these guys get, and I don't know, it scares me a little bit.
I thought it was parody at first.
That's what trust me, exactly what I thought. I thought it was a whole joke thing, but no, he might actually think he's from the future. And it's like, if you were really from the future, why would you need sources? Why would you need all these things? Shouldn't you just know these? And if you're from the future, why are you coming back and talking about Star Wars? Like, there's nothing else more pressing in the world than saving pop culture. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
He's a trip. He's a trip, man. He is a trip. But I'm not going to keep everyone too long. I know.
Yeah, I want to say two things. One is, everything I've said about Scientology was in jest, and none of it was true. And I fully rescind everything I said unequivocally. And I didn't mean a word of it.
Right.
Also, allegedly, I'll add that as well.
All that stuff I said was only things I'd heard that were alleged, and I don't believe any of it to be true. You got me?
Yep.
Same.
Just like with Doomcock, just big disclaimer. This is all, just rumor and gossip. Don't take it seriously.
The other thing is, release the air cut.
Whoa. Okay.
Whoa. Oh, coming with a hot take. All right. Release the air.
You can't make this shit up.
He's ready with the drop.
Yeah. So wait. No, what the fuck, man? You should have said that in the beginning. Do you want to?
I thought that was what I was on here to talk about.
Well, you just open a whole new can of worms now. I can't.
No, I seriously thought I was coming on here to talk about that. Like, I was all ready to go.
Did you watch? Are you a fan of like Zack Snyder's Justice League and all those things?
Yeah.
Did you? Of course, you watched it then. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think that they should release the air cut?
Because the major plot line should have been Harley and the Joker. And that was what it was supposed to be originally. And instead they made it something else. And that's just insane.
Would have been a good movie anyway, though? Like,
yes.
Okay.
Because he was the only Joker who appealed to women. And I mean, that.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Huh?
Now we're getting fans.
Yeah.
Fans, right? I'm talking about die-hard fans.
So
he's the hot topic Joker.
Are not attractive to women, but this one was. I mean, that movie was everything 50 Shades of Grey should have been. And I want to see more of it.
Okay. Did you like the Joker that Zach put on screen? It was a little different, but I think.
Yeah, well, he wasn't as sexy. Look, I just want to see sexy Joker with Harley Quinn. I want to see all the stuff they filmed, and I'll be happy. Yeah,
there was about I think it was like an hour and 14 minutes of footage that was accumulated between like the Joker's on screen and like Joker on screen, and I think like 7 minutes made it in 8 total, something like. And so I asked you why for a reason, because if the air cut never gets released ever, I won't lose sleep, but I am a firm believer in like artists, creative, like being able to explore their creative ideas and being able to express themselves. And I don't like that the studio interfered and chopped his movie up and put something else out. I think that the world should be able to get to see what David Ayer intended it to be, right? Yeah,
I'll lose sleep over it. I want to see the Joker that appeals to women. Okay. Women are the ones who have who are the primary buyers, right? And who went to see Suicide Squad? With kids, mostly, and us. Okay, but kids. And who takes them is their moms. I mean, if you can engage moms, that's great. Right. So here was this thing that women obviously want to see because they're watching 50 Shades of Grey. And here is the actual movie, what you want to be watching. And let's just get rid of it.
Right. And I mean, Harley Quinn costumes still dominate at like costume shops, cosplaying. Like Harley Quinn is like just leagues above when it comes to like how many girls love her. Like it's there's no comparison. So I think I mean, did you ever did you watch that like Birds of Prey movie with her in it?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like that one?
I
It's a
didn't.
little different
I
than,
didn't like it.
yeah, it was definitely like toned down and I mean,
Well,
some
why
of the
take
stuff
that
was cool.
iconic look and change it?
Yeah, I think they were going for a little bit more of like and that's okay. So a lot of these guys, right? A lot of these idiots like Doomcock, like they look at that and like they're upset that they tried to appeal to women with an all-female cast. And they tried to have Harley leading it in like a more relaxed way. And she wasn't in the little booty shorts or the fishnet. Like she was just in a regular like I forget. God, I can't even remember what she was wearing in Birds of Prey. But I do remember Suicide Squad. Does that say something about me? I guess.
No, that was
I
an
remember-
iconic look.
I
Why
remember the
change it?
booty shorts. I don't remember anything else. But I mean, I don't know. Because I still think Suicide Squad, the theatrical cut, I think that like it wasn't as bad as everyone says, but it wasn't good either. Like I remember enjoying it at the theater
Oh
for
yeah.
what it was.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It was just leaving. Okay, it was good, but then you find out there was this whole like the best part of the movie for me was that the relationship between those two. I wanted to see more, and then finding out that was what the whole movie was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a
and no,
letdown.
I think Birds of Prey, it was kind of supposed to be a girl power movie, but I think that ended in the late 90s. And it was kind of harken back to the late 90s, the look of that movie, the aesthetic. And I think they were just like very much going for this ironic, we're going to make a late 90s movie, but nobody got it.
Yeah.
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 Could be.
Even a lot of like the comedy in it reminded me of like
There
a
was
late
comedy
90s.
in it.
Yeah. I mean, she dropped the whole intro is about an egg sandwich.
That wasn't funny though.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Well,
didn't,
all right. Well,
It's
whether it
almost
was
kinda
funny is,
gross.
yeah.
Like, couldn't it have been about like a cinnamon bun? That would have been interesting. Egg sandwich.
I'm a
Like,
huge cinnamon bun fan. by
right,
the
that
way.
would have been so much better.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm a
oh,
huge
cinnamon
cinnamon
bun.
bun
That
guy.
makes sense.
But hey, I like that you like. See, I think, I think personally, I like when women like the superhero genre. I think it's awesome that it's becoming more inclusive to everybody, right? And there's like characters like Ms. Marvel or Kamala Khan, like she's a Pakistani girl, right? Dane and I were talking about this the other day. Like then there's Ironheart, and she's a black girl, and like it's easy for me and Dane to look at like Captain America and be like, oh cool, I identify with him. He kind of looks like me. And that's our hero. It's nice to be validated in that sense, and to have that as like, that's who I want to strive towards. But like especially for women and people of color, they don't always have that. So now that they're starting to get it, people are upset. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. And I just don't understand why people would have the like opposite view of that.
I don't know. I saw Captain Marvel in the theater with my friends, and
There's a lot of hate.
Yeah, but I was walking. I walked to go to the bathroom, and there was this little family there, African American, the dad on one side, the mom on the other, this little baby boy, and they were there for him, right? They wouldn't have come on their own. It was late at night, and he was having the time of his life watching that movie. And there was, he could see himself on screen.
Right.
The two characters, right? He could see himself on screen. He was so happy. He would have come to that movie anyway. But knowing that guy could see himself on screen was just like, and I saw that and I was like, this is what it's all about.
It is. And that's
about
the
that
beauty
little guy.
of it.
It's not about us. We're too old, right? We're over 25. It's not us.
I mean,
I have a
next
Captain
generation.
America
It's
shield
that
on my
little
wall.
fella.
So.
That's one of the things that I talk about too often is like, and there are people on the left who make these criticisms as well, but it's from the right, it's more of a hateful thing. But like the idea that, oh, these corporations are just doing this cynically, like, oh, they want diversity, this will make us more money, right? If we put representation in there. And it's like, yeah, we do live in a capitalist society, so they do things for money, right? Like there's a demand for it, but at the same time, like the creators, I feel like the writers of comic books and movies who are like creating these characters, I feel like it usually comes from a genuine place of like, this is important to have this representation. So there's like kind of both elements there. Yeah, that's just the way I see it. But yeah, I think representation is important. I see how much it matters to, people that I know, people I care about, when they're represented. And I think it's important. So
it is. And that should, like, remember, like comic books were made in the 30s and 40s. And that was a different time. And like with everything, it grows, adapts, and changes. And some of these people don't want that change. And it's like, all right, like I see where you're coming from, but like either get on the train or it's leaving, because these things are happening, whether you want it or not. Like you're not going to change that. And like please don't say Harley Quinn, I hope. But do you have a favorite superhero? Because she's technically not a superhero, but she's like a villain, anti-hero.
She's an anti-hero.
She's an anti-hero.
I like She-Ra and Red Sonja were my favorite.
Hell yeah.
All right. Hawkeye's out right now, and a lot of people are raving about that. Dane and I got to see it early, and it's like a really good story with Kate Bishop, who is like the successor to Hawkeye. She takes over the mantle, and like she goes on to join the Young Avengers, and she even houses the team at her well, in the comics it's a publishing company, but like a lot of people are mad at that. It's like you just can't win with these fucking people. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna wrap up here. I gotta get up pretty early and start cooking.
Thanks for having me on. It was such a pleasure.
Nice
do it
meeting
again.
talking to you, Tucky. Thank you.
We'll do it again, and this next time we'll only talk about the haircut then, because but maybe, hey, listen, I've heard a couple rumors. Well, mine are a little bit more than rumors, but there's a good chance that it's happening in the next
Really?
year. Yes.
Oh, you got some sources?
Yeah, I do. It's Cameron Pasha. I have to admit it, but no. There are a lot of fingers pointing, and there's a lot of people with their eyes on it saying that it's happening. So, if that movie comes out soon, we should definitely. I'd even do a watch party with you for it. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So, all right, guys. Happy holidays. I hope it all goes well, and for everyone watching now or in the future, happy holidays, and we will see you after the break. All right, guys, thank you for being so generous with your time tonight.